So thought I would try something a little different this time. Basically, um, I thought it might be interesting to see how I actually put these setups together, or at least kind of what I would do to adapt setups between tracks. So this is the Mid Ohio track we're going to be using for the next round. Um, Roughly about a week and well, it's close. It's almost 2 weeks really until that race. So I thought it would be probably a good idea. If this works, it means I'll be able to get out the one for Bathurst. Means some good time as well. So that's kind of why this is being done now. Um, Basically, it'll just be a case of adapting the VIR set to this track. And the reason I say adapting the VRI set is because the VIR set was, in my opinion, it's pretty good. And I know that people used it in the race and they did pretty well with it. So I don't see any need to basically blow it up and start again like I have done other times in the year where it's just not really worked when I've gone track to track. So just thought this could be a little interesting to kind of show what I would do here. One thing I am actually going to check is that I actually have the proper track, because I have loaded the one without chicane, which I'm pretty sure is what we're running, but let me just check. Yep, configuration full course, configuration full course. So I am indeed correct, we are on the right track. If you can hear any music in the background of this, that's just basically how I like to practice. I don't monetize the videos anyway, so that doesn't really matter. I just like to have something playing in the background, especially when I'm mainly just looking at the setup screen and things. So this is literally my first laps driving this, so it should be kind of interesting. And that's entirely intentional because that's how I wanted it to be. So that basically you can see exactly how it is for me when I'm putting these together. And really my method of doing so. Okay, so I kind of learned two things right off the bat there. One is that the brake bias is too far rearward because I nearly looped it around on entry right there. And also that the gear is way too long, which is to be expected because, I mean, there's VIR versus Mid-Ohio. VIR, you have that huge blast down the back straight, whereas here, it's a relatively long straight, but it's not perfect. Yeah, you can definitely carry a fair bit more speed through there. I'll try and do one full lap, just to get an idea. And I always have the tab box open as well, and I always set it to session best lap, unless I'm matching weather across different sessions. In which case, then I'll put it on all-time best. Just going to basically go to the end of the back straight this time because I want to know what RPM I'm turning in fourth to get an idea of how much I can cut it down by. It actually feels pretty good. I mean, it maybe needs a little bit more turning. But it's definitely not been a bad decision to start with this. Okay, so I'm doing 8,000 RPM pretty much. Might complete the lap just because it looks like it's going to be a decent one for time. Probably leave that in second through there. Although a little change might change the gear anyway. Alright, so first couple of laps, that was 3 if we include the out lap. Let's take a look at what we got. So we know that we're doing 8,000 RPM on the back, and we know that we can get a lot closer than 9. Just a quick look at tyre wear. Yeah, that pretty much matches it with how I was feeling. That there's a bit of front end push. In terms of, for example, cambers, I'm probably not going to change them. Because normally what works well on one road course is probably going to work well on another. And, I mean, maybe we can, for the purpose of the video, we'll play with it about half a degree either way or something, just to see. But I don't really see a big reason to change that. The ballast block's all the way back anyway, so if we're going to loosen up, we need to loosen up another way. Yeah, probably bump the bias forward 0.5%. Because that first lap. Right, so we're running a 411 and we definitely need to turn a lot more RPM. Let's go quite aggressive and let's run a 444. So we're gonna try 444, and what else should we try whilst we're out there? Because I don't like to basically just only do one thing per run. Especially not when it's something like a gear change. If it's something like air pressure or something, then you have to only do one thing. But when it's gear, you can get away with doing more than that. I got a 2.5 bar at the front. See, I like using that, so I'm probably not gonna deviate from that. Can I get that? Yeah, well, that's a bit better. Let's do that. We'll wind that down. We can sit in. Okay, no, we can't get it sitting any lower. Oh, yeah, maybe we can. It blinked. Yep, we're all good. Well, actually, can I get any less link slack going on? I always try and get these preloads down to 0 as well. So what I'll do is stay on the rear here. Oh, they've got an attach option. You didn't used to have this attach option. You used to have to put a 0 bar size in. It was really annoying. Okay, so we got 50.1 crossweight like that. If we pull it up, so we were about where we could have gone again. Not really much options for change there. Usually I like to run the rear as low as I can, just to get the big spoiler out of the air. But at VIR, what the problem I had was I wanted softer rear springs, but it was getting so soft that the thing was dragging the rear in the corners. But the benefit of the soft spring was outweighing the lack of straight line speed, basically. Okay, so we're kind of back to where we were. So I can only get 4.6 preload there. 0.2 there, that's pretty good. Attach that rear bar, 0.1. Literally doesn't get any better than that. Negative 0.1, that's about it. Gonna move that up to a 1/2 inch. Maybe hopefully that gives a bit more rotation. And then we can work from there. Now, obviously the main reference for anything has to be lap time, because there's really no point building a car that drives great but slow. That's really no use to anybody, so the primary purpose is to try and get as much lap time as I can out of it, and then try and get it handling good afterwards. Okay, so that is apparently still a first gear corner even with a shorter gear. That's interesting. That corner's a real problem. It just doesn't want to turn through there for whatever reason. Oh yeah, you can mount that inside curb a lot, by the way. But I think you have to be careful not to go too far, because you can get a cut track. Way too far on the inside curb there. I got more turn than I expected. So down in this corner, if you see roughly where I brake, it's before the boards. It's actually the end of this concrete. Maybe a hair before it. You know, with how much shifting is going on, it might actually be beneficial to run a 3-gear setup here. I think I'll probably try that next. It's interesting, I haven't built an SOR setup with 3-gear before, but I've ran 3-gear for Sonoma a lot in the cup stuff. Just because what you find is that the shift points tend to be in places which is so awkward that you're actually losing out a lot. I don't think that rear bar change has actually really helped at all, so I'm gonna have to try something else. It doesn't seem to have actually given me any rotation, which is quite weird. If anything, it snugged it up, which I'll be honest and say I don't really understand. Yeah, there's a lot of time spent down changing. And I don't think it's offset by any pull that you get down the straight. Do another lap, so I have a 5-lap run. It definitely drives pretty solid to start with. Hopefully you can see that. Too deep, way too deep. See, I don't like that change under the Honda banner because that's kind of an unsettling corner in the first place. I'd prefer to do all this in 1 gear. So really the lap time should be dropping off, but I think I'm actually just getting used to the track a bit better. Because I shouldn't really be running 23 flats like that. 96, 97. So yeah, still struggling with the understeer deal. Also pressures are unequal. Let's take that gear. Well, let's put that bar back to 0.375 first. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down to, what did we have? We had a 411 before. So we're going to try 4 because I still had to change into 4th, the 11. Hopefully I don't with this. I'm also going to go up, go 775 on that left rear and 7. Now you see the reason I have this opposite is basically, well, not opposite. The reason why I have a split, and even though the iRacing tooltip says, ooh, don't put a split in, is basically because you got to remember that one side of this bar is attached to the axle and the other side is attached to the body. And the car does not run around the track at 6.3 inch ride height. It just basically never does that. So the logic of this is that in the majority of the cases where it's loaded up is that hopefully that this will be closer to the flat heights that the tooltip suggests. As in, say, for example, the rear actually runs at like 5.5 inches. That'll give you basically 7 and 7. If you see what I mean. I hope, anyway. That assumes that I've remembered which side's connecting with. I don't think I have, interestingly enough. I feel like I should be the opposite way around on this. So maybe I should try that. I go 7 on that and 775. And the other reason was I was actually trying to always get the toes to be 1s. Although as you can see that's really not possible. Which is kind of annoying. Yeah, let's try that. Let's see how that drives. I wonder how long I've actually had that, but the opposite way around. And I wonder why I would have done that in the first place, because I never run it like that on anything else. Like, all my cup stuff runs with the right side higher. Interesting. I think for the 3 gear to work, I might actually have to go even shorter on the gear. Yeah, second through there definitely isn't viable, but hey, you gotta try it once, right? Yeah, that's not gonna fly. That's kind of annoying. I was hoping I could get that to work. It's back to the 4 gear then. But I might run maybe in between, I guess. Let's try 422 out. Basically, a lot of shuffling like this will happen. Just to try and get, because you don't have control over the individual gears. So you just have to try and find basically the best compromise you can in terms of where the shift points are. Because, like, for example, having to go up into fourth on the main straight, it's not really a big deal. But having to go between gears in the infield really kind of is. So you want to avoid that if you can. I feel like my track bar was better, but I'm not entirely sure. I think I'll put that 0.5 bar back in though, just because it felt like it tied the rear together a bit better. Notice I haven't used any telemetry or anything yet, and that's basically just because I'm not at that point. I know roughly that the ride heights for this work, so that's kind of a fine-tuning deal. So, like, for example, if this gear lets me use second all the way through here, I'll be happy. Oh, that's a stretch, but it might be possible. Yeah, I don't like that shift point because it's in the middle of that corner, and that'll get loose late in the run. The Optima's in at 22.5, so let's see what we can hit here. Now see, I missed that, and I tried to keep the speed up, and it probably hurt me even more. Sometimes you just better kind of take in the pain. See, that's why I don't like having that change point there. Because that's a problem that will only get worse. I'm going to do about 5 or 6 laps on this just because I want to see tyre wear again. Missed that by a mile. I feel like a late apex in the hairpin isn't necessarily a bad thing. Although I probably wouldn't do it as late as I just did it there. That was a bit on the edge of extreme. I hope you can see that, how it kind of just isn't quite there in terms of balance-wise, and it's just pushing the nose a bit. Of course, I'm sure there'll be some of you out there going, oh, but you're driving in too deep and all this. And I mean, yeah, that could be true, but at the end of the day, what I do has worked pretty well for me, so if I can make the car drive how I want it to drive, I'd rather do that. Like, I'll change my style a little bit if it's necessary. Like, if I can't fix the handling to how I want, then I will have to do that. But once I know sort of roughly how to drive a track, and I mean, I'm pretty experienced with this track. It's kind of a case of just making it have the balance I want in it. See, I don't mind there. That's quite good actually with that gear, because I can just run second. Yeah, I feel like this would be kind of a good thing that I'd like to stream, but I'm pretty sure my connection wouldn't handle this. Or that, like, the bitrate would be so bad it would be terrible, so I'd rather just upload a video. Because hopefully when they finish sort of processing, the information is quite clear. Like on the screen stuff, I mean. Whereas if I streamed, it probably you probably wouldn't be able to see all the fine detail in like the best lap and stuff like that. Actually, we're just gonna do one more because I want to highlight something about this track. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try and do a pit lane entry. This will be interesting because I haven't done one of these at this track for a long time. As you can see, it's kind of not easy. Right. So what did we have for tire wear? 96 and 97. 96 on the... See, that's kind of interesting. I wonder why that is. I assume it's because we're kind of punishing the right front on turns, such as 1. On 2 we should kind of be leaning on the left, but I suppose it's not really a high-speed corner. We got that one at the top of the hill there. So I think it's really 1 and whatever number that kink is before the last corner. But it's mainly high speed that's killing that. But in terms of balance then, I'd say it was relatively good. I mean, it started at 22.5. It ended with 23.2. I was probably going to hit that again, I would say, if I didn't do that pit entry. Let me just alt-tab for a second. Because the number of laps that the race is 28. Okay. So really we're looking at doing about 14 laps on a set. I feel like that gear worked pretty well. I might go one shorter. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. So the reason I say I don't know is because if I go one shorter, then I'm going to be struggling in where I could keep it in second before that last kink. I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. But the sort of over the top of the hill with the hard right-hander that drops under the bridge, I would be able to stay in second. Yeah, let's try it and we'll see. It can't be, well, I mean, it can be worse, but, you know, not the end of the world if it is. So we got 96, 97. Took a half pound of air in the rear tires. I wouldn't normally do that, but I want to get a bit of balance forwards. I don't think we can really go that much more aggressive with the camber in the front. I'm probably going to leave that where I'm at with the 4. Brake bias felt okay at 67.5, so probably fine. What else can we do? I suppose I could try a bigger rear bar again. Let's try 0.75.
That's it, go!
The other thing I was going to mention was tape. But I've got a, I've got Motec for that, so I'll actually flick that on. You can get a run for that. Okay, so it has made second a lot better through there. But it's probably going to necessitate a shift up to third here. So I want more rotation. Probably got in the gas a bit too soon there. And cooked it. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. I could tell already. Yeah, I think the gear is better, although it's not really solved the problem with the front. So I'm just going to take a quick look in Motec. Let's see if we can't fix that. I got Mid-Ohio. Okay, so the front's actually pretty high. That corner where I'm struggling, it actually hits the nose just a hair. Now, you see, the issue really here is not really like an oval, where you could say, sit it down and have it stuck under 1 inch the whole time. It's just not viable because there's so much elevation and roll and everything. You still want to get it down, basically as low as you can. Probably need to... Wow, there's a lot of roll in the rear. Now that I didn't really expect. Probably a result in that soft spring. It's probably why increasing this bar is helping me out. Maybe I could get away with, say, going to 400-pound spring. Back down to a 0.5 bar. And now I've broken it, and that always happens, so don't worry. Just want to make sure the crossweight always goes back. And there we go. So we're back down to 0.5 bar. Oh, 0.0 preload. It'll be good. So the reason I did that with the springs is that I saw on Motec that it's rolling over a lot. And the bar was kind of stopping that a little bit, but what that probably means is that a lot of when I was actually rotating was because I was actually catching the rear end on the track. Now I don't want to lift it up, but I can stiffen it up. And I don't think there's really big call for drive off at this track. It's more about keeping momentum through the S's. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to just lift the rear off the track so that the rotation that is happening is rotation that should be happening and not just because the rear end's dragging. That's a bit more like it. That's not more like it. But you can see where the potential disadvantage comes in, because like there, the rear's not as hooked up through the corners like that. Well, mainly traction zones, I guess. You know what, I'm going to try this with another 25-pounder spring and a bit more roll barring. We're getting closer though, for sure. Okay, see, I went over transition in the spring there. I have to be careful of that. 425, it goes from one length to another. Weird is how I've got that cross difference going on. We're going to unattach a few things. Balance it out again first. This doesn't look right. So 49.9 there. We've got caster discrepancy for whatever reason. 49.8. 50.1. Brilliant. I love it when that happens. You can never get what you want. Oh well, we'll just attach it and I'll have to change it a bit on preload. Oh, there you go, 50. Probably got up to that 0.75 bar. Maybe. I wish I could have that as a +1. A metric 0. In fairness, it's the one money on metric, and that's not too bad. So yeah, really when it comes to stuff like telemetry, I'm just using it to cross-check what I'm doing. I'm not really completely using it, if you know what I mean. Nice gear change there. Still struggling a bit for rotation. And it feels better for sure. Although the lap's faster just basically because I hit it better. No other reason really. I was actually kind of hoping that would give me a black flag there so I could show that maybe it just doesn't in practice. But yeah, you got to be careful. You don't want to cut too much into the pit exit because it can give you a black flag. Well, not a black flag, but a slowdown. The interesting thing is for me is that the drop off isn't as much as I expected. Probably because it's late afternoon there, I guess. I'll do a 10 lap run here. That was a pretty good line. Might run out to 14 just to see.
23.02.
Feels pretty good right now. Oh, pushed it a fraction too hard there. wouldn't say the balance has really changed, which is a good thing. Not really a great first corner on that lap. Interesting place to get a 1x though. You can see, I mean, this is technically lap 13 because of the outlap, but as you can see, it's not really loose. It's not really, like, it's going slower, but the balance is still good. I will pit at the end of this one. It's actually not too bad getting into the pits. It's a fair bit easier than I remember. And as long as you put it in first gear, you'll be fine. So really, it's just a case of looking at now tyre wear for what their run was. But honestly, I feel like the balance is pretty good there. I don't think there's that much I'd want to change. Let's take a look. I mean, it's kind of forwards. Yeah, a little bit. But it's at least keeps it comfortable, you know. Doesn't make it edgy. So let's save that as